Barrett. Andy, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, Andrew Barrett, that's reserved for Sundays and telling offs and things, or on book covers. Otherwise, everybody calls me Andy, so call me Andy, that's fine. Hello, everybody. Andy Barrett, CSI and crime fiction thriller writer, whatever you want to call me. I'm responsible for the Roger Coniston trilogy that I began in 1997. I started to write that. That finished about 2004. Then after that, I moved on to the one I'm probably best known for, CSI Eddie Collins, his series. Do you remember it, Caroline?
I do. I'm very much like Eddie Collins.
Do you?
Yeah, and in fact, that starts us off with one of the questions that I got for you, which is how much of you was in Eddie Collins?
Oh, do you know, I get asked that so often. The last time I was asked that was by my boss, as we were having an argument, and I had to confess that actually there's probably quite a lot of Eddie Collins in me. Although he is much more brash than I am. I'm far too subdued to say the things he says. Although, trust me, I think them. and I can't argue and I can't fight. But all these things I wish I could do come out in Eddie Collins. So yeah, he is me, I suppose, to a certain extent. But I think every writer, when they write something, has to inject a bit of themselves, even if it's a horrible character like a murderer or something like that. They've got to think these things and they've got to behave the way that they're trying to put into the characters to a certain extent. So yeah, there's quite a bit of Eddie Collins in me, or there's quite a bit of me in Eddie Collins, whichever way you want to work it.
Tony Forder also asked if you'd used any real life crimes.
Kind of yes and no. As well as signing like the Official Secrets Act, I've also had to declare this writing malarkey as a business to the police force, and there are certain conditions that have been applied to me where I can and can't write certain things. I can't put real victims in or anything like that, which I never would do. But yeah, there are certain scenes that I've stolen from real life. One of them was in, don't know if you remember, Black by Rose. There was cash in a Turkish tea shop, a robbery, where they broke in and tried to get the cash out. That actually happened, and I was a scene examiner on that. That was a brilliant scene, and I thought to myself, I must remember this, and I did do. So I've used that. And the one I'm writing at the moment, I'm writing a short story at the moment. At the moment, it's called The Drop. I'm about 20,000 words into this short story novella. And that features a post office robbery. And again, that's in first person. All Eddie's short stories are in first person. And that actually happened. I started to write a post office robbery, and I couldn't get this particular post office out of my mind. So I thought, well, just go with it. So I'll use this one. So all the evidence that he finds, I found. So, but there's differences in this short story compared to what actually happened. I mean, in this short story, he's got an attachment with him who turns out to be fundamental to the story. I'm not going to spoil it for you by telling you more. But, so yeah, I do use little bits. As far as technology is concerned, though, I try to shy away from using the top class stuff that we use because I don't want burglars. And burglars know all sorts of stuff, tricks and whatever these days to try and evade capture. And I don't want to give them a helping hand if I can help it. So I use old technology. If I can get away with it, I will do. Like the call signs and the radio lingo, it's all old stuff. We've got new codes that we use now, and I won't use the new stuff because I don't want to give them a heads up. So yeah.
So you don't tell them all the trade secrets?
No, they know that we use. I mean, we go to houses that are owned by known burglars, known offenders, so they know what we do anyway. But we don't try and give any tips to them as we're doing the exam, and we certainly don't want to give tips away in the book. Everything that I use is try to keep it open source anyway, so that nobody can say, you told him how to do this. I didn't. It's on Google, have a look, So I have to be careful what I do.
How accurate do you try and make it, though? When you're saying that you had the evidence was like the evidence you'd collected, do you try and make your descriptions of the evidence collection and stuff as accurate as possible, or do you put bits out?
Yeah, it's all accurate. The language spoken is accurate. I have had emails complaining, people don't swear that much. Yeah, they do. They swear a damn sight more than that as well. And it's banter. It's banter between you and CID at a scene. Um, it's as true as I can get it. I've had to compress it because when you're searching for a footwear map that can take you an hour to find, or an hour to develop, or an hour to recover, you don't want to put that in a book. You know, you want to keep things tight if you can. Some of the reviews that I get say there's too much forensic detail in it, so you try to modify it a little bit by compressing it even further. And others go on and say, I love the forensic detail, I can't get enough of it. So I try to strike a balance of being accurate, but without dragging it out too much. Get it compressed. Looking for footwear, looking for fingerprints, whatever you're doing, just say that. You can even say what powders you're using for what particular surfaces, but don't. I try not to drag it out too long because I'm aware it can get pretty tedious for a reader. So you don't want to bore them.
Do you find it difficult to find time to write whilst working full time as a CSI?
Yeah, well, we work shifts that are 7 days on, 3 off, 7 days on, 4 off, 7, 3 on, and so on. And every third week, the back end of the week, sorry, every set, every 7 days, the back 4 or 3 days is reserved for evening work. So we have earlies where we start at 7, finish at 4, and we have lates where we start at 3 and finish at 11. Well, every third week, that late is scrapped and replaced by a night shift or a half night shift where you start at 6 and finish at 2 in the morning. So on a 7-day stretch, you're working at least 56 hours. And it could be a lot more back when you add the overtime onto it as well, and the travelling, like everybody else has to do. So it can get pretty exhausting. At the end of 7 days, you can't wait for your days off, I promise you. But I love writing. I've done it since the mid-80s. It's me. I can't stop. So I won't stop. I'll carry on until I die. So I'll always write. Even if I never publish it, I'll write it anyway. So if you love something that much, I think you find the time, don't you?
Yeah. Do you plan to go full time as a writer at any point?
I've been planning to go full time as a writer since about 1985. Just, I'm trying. I promise you, I'm trying. I'm getting better at it, both at writing and at promoting myself. But I'm still not very good at promoting myself, and I'm still not very good at writing. I do all right. People are very complimentary to us, which is very kind of them. But it's not happening yet, shall we say? But I would like it to.
So I got a question from my dad. He says, "What is a favorite book? What is your favorite book that you've written?"
Oof. I think I like Ledston Look as probably one of my favourites. And I say one of my favourites because I like them all for different reasons. But the thing I like most about Ledston Look is the twist at the end. And not all books need to have twists. I appreciate that, but this one does, and it's very subtle. But if you get it, it'll blow your socks off. This twist came to me while I was having a shower. I'm always thinking about writing. I'm always thinking about my stories and my plots and my characters. And I was stuck on an ending for Ledston Look. I'm a pantster. I write by the seat of my pants. I very rarely do any planning at all. And when I get stuck, I tend to do a flowchart of what could happen and what would be best, for the story to happen. And I was in the shower one day, and the twist for the Ledston Look hit me, and I nearly fell out the shower. I couldn't get out fast enough to write it down because I have a terrible memory, and I had to write it down as fast as possible. So for that reason alone, I think Ledston Look is probably my favourite because it's an excellent twist. I have to say, so sorry, but it is pretty good.
It goes on nicely to his next question, which he says one of his favourite characters is Divine from Ledston Look.
Yeah.
He says, "Where did you find a character like that? Was it someone you know?"
No, it's totally made up. Poor old Divine. I don't want to give too many spoilers away in case people do read it, but poor old Divine, she's had a horrible childhood, and now she's an adult, and she's having a horrible adulthood as well. She as a character came to me. I used to work at a farm when I was a nipper, from about age 12 to 15, 16, something like that. And they had a fantastic old farmhouse with old stone flags and a big old trough for a sink. You get the kind of. In there, they used to have plain old pine wooden chairs around this table and rickety old things. And you'd walk in through the back door, which was never locked. And straight in front of you was this one of these rickety old pine chairs. And for some reason, I don't know what, I just imagine her sitting there at like 2, 3 in the morning, naked. Won't be a pretty sight. But next to her, propped against the door jamb, is a shotgun. She works on a farm. She always has a shotgun with her, and she always keeps it loaded. She says, "What's the point in having a shotgun if you don't keep it loaded?" But anyway, these 2 burglars break in, and you can probably guess what happens from there. But that's how I first pictured her. Just an image came into my mind, and I just expanded her from there. And then I wondered why she was as, can I call her evil? Yeah. Why was she as evil as she is? And so you end up going back through her childhood. There's got to be a trigger point. There's got to be something that makes her like that. Even though the same event might not affect other people in the same way as it did her, this event happened, and I thought, yeah, we'll stick that in as well. So this is how a book grows for me. You can write it layer upon layer, go back and make adjustments to make whatever's happening in the present or the future sound more logical. That's where she came from, if you like.
Lovely. I've got some questions for you from Samantha now, or questions Samantha always likes to ask, which is, who did you dedicate your first book to?
I see now. I've got 2 kids from a previous marriage. I've got Lewis and Emily, and I dedicate those to my kids. I love my kids to bits, as you do. And I've got Ellie from a marriage that I'm currently in. Hopefully, will be forever. She's had a book dedicated to her. The first book I ever dedicated to anybody was to my dad when he died, and then my mum when she died. Family are very mean a lot to me, obviously. So from then we've had Emily, Lewis, Ellie, who I call Boo Boo, Sarah, my then fiance when I dedicated a book to her, and then Sarah, my wife. I've had Bruce, who's my father-in-law, brilliant fella. I've had Linda, mother-in-law, brilliant lady. And then we've had Grandma Jean as well. So I dedicate books to people who mean a lot to me, basically. And when I run out of people who mean a lot to me, because I have a small family that I'm really close with, I'll probably start either dedicating them to random people, or I'll go back and dedicate another book to a certain person. I don't know.
She also likes to ask, what's your most memorable moment as an author?
The Ledston Look one. I wrote the first Eddie Collins book I wrote that went from 2004-ish to 2012, because there was a big gap where I did a bit of screenwriting in between. And when I'd finished that book, it was 280,000 words long, so it's quite a longish book. And I've since condensed that down to 180,000. And I loved writing that because I got lost in it. I didn't care about keeping the number of characters down to a certain level. I didn't care about restricting description, interior monologues, dialogue, anything like that. I just let myself go with it, and I had such fun with that book. And that's become a Marmite book. People either love it or they hate it, and I can take that anyway. I'm not particularly. I won't say I'm not bothered what people think about it. Obviously, I am. But if people don't get it and they don't enjoy it, then that's absolutely fine. I'm happy with that. But I suppose that's one of the biggest events for me. Is I wrote a book that was massive. That was over 1,000 pages long. That thing.
Wow. Maggie James says, have you got any plans for future books or series?
Yep. Right here is I've finished the next in the CSI Eddie Collins saga. That's book number 6, and that's called This Side of Death. That's currently with my editor, so that will be out in a few months' time. Then there's the novella, the next Eddie novella. That's called The Drop. Here's me working out what the hell I'm going to put in there next, how to finish it off. I still don't know how to end it. After that, I've got an idea for another psychological thriller. Do you remember The End of Lies? How that was a psychological thriller that was standalone. There's no no character continuity through that. I want to write another psychological thriller. This one begins, if my memory serves me right, because I wrote the idea for it. I got it down before I even started the last Eddie Collins book because it was there burning in the back of my mind. That starts in 1977 at the Silver Jubilee. So I've got, even though I was around then, I need to do a lot of research to getting back in that time frame when that happened. So there's that. Somebody also wants me to write the fourth Roger Coniston book, where he goes up against Chamberlain, the nasty DCI Chamberlain. That might happen in 2021. But as far as other series are concerned, do you know, I enjoy writing Eddie Collins. I enjoy writing Eddie Collins short stories where it's just first person. And I enjoy writing, I say enjoy writing psychological thrillers. I've only written one, but I do enjoy writing that kind of a thriller. So I might just stick to that with another Roger in the back of my mind playing away. And when he's ready to write, I'll write, I guess.
Fair enough. Do you ever get called on to be an expert for other authors?
Yeah, I've been doing that forever. Yeah, I don't mind. I used to have a website called Tut and Sai. Me and my best mate who I did the script writing with, we had a website called Tut and Sai where we would offer advice to authors. It wasn't very successful because nobody knew about it, but people do know about me now, and I accept questions from anybody. I don't mind, free, gratis. I have a lot of authors. Bless him. He's up there somewhere. There he is, Michael Wood. He was kind enough to name me in the back of his book as one of his advisors, if you like. So yeah, I don't mind. It's good, isn't it? Helping people.
It is. Do you have any like highlights or anecdotes from your career as a ESI? Guess who that question came from?
That's come from your dad.
Yeah.
He's referring to when I first started in 1996. All the each division had their own mortuary. They don't do that anymore because they're all so forensically aware. But each division had its own little mortuary house, and they were all crapples. Can I say that? Yeah, they were. They were all crapples. Terrible places to work. And one of the first PMs I went to was in Halifax, a tiny little place. This post-mortem took place in. And back then, instead of having the digital cameras that we've got now, we used to have the old Mamiya RB67s, the medium format cameras that wedding photographers used to use, the ones where you look down like that and the bellows open up to get it into focus. So these were magnificent cameras, but totally not suited to what we did. But anyway, that's what we used back then in the 90s. And I wanted a wide angle shot looking straight down on the corpse. So I tried to get up as high as I could, and I couldn't manage it. So I stood on a chair, then I stood on the slab that the body was on and slipped, and sort of ended up in the chest cavity. He didn't seem to mind. That's funny, Dad. Thanks, David.
Well, you knew he was going to get that one in there somewhere.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So after you've collected the evidence and processed it and things, you know, when it goes to court and they're expert forensic witnesses and things who go in, how do you know that they're experts? How do they check?
How do you mean? I don't follow you. What do you mean?
So you know when you have expert witnesses at court cases and things, that testify on things like DNA and other kind of specialist bits of evidence, how do they check that they are actually experts and that they know what they're talking about?
Well, every witness that's called to court supplies a statement of what their involvement in this particular case is, and at the top it says that I am a forensic biologist. I've been a forensic biologist for 20 odd years, whatever, you know, they give out their credentials, if you like. I do it as well. But I don't think you arrive with your degrees or your certificates. I don't think they do that. But I could be wrong. I don't know. It's beyond what I normally get involved in. It's, you know, if they want me at court, I just go to court. They've got my statement saying I am a senior CSI for the police, been doing it for 25 years, whatever. And then you just go on to your statement. So they tend to accept that. So whether they have a list of expert witnesses, I don't know. But that's a sort of not my side of the coin, if you like. So I can't answer any more thoroughly than that, I'm afraid.
No, fair enough. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think I should?
No, I think you've done a pretty good job, Caroline. Thank you, and thanks to everybody who's put a question forward and been interested. I've enjoyed answering those.
I know we got some good ones, didn't we?
You did, yeah.
So what's your next release that anyone can buy, or where can they buy all your books?
All right, you can buy all my books on Amazon. You can buy some of my books on Kobo, Google, Apple, Barnes and Noble, Google Play. I've said that already. You can't buy the Roger Coniston books anywhere else apart from Amazon because it's in Kindle Unlimited. The next book to come out will be This Side of Death, Eddie Collins number 6. And then sort of towards the back end of the year, the drop will be out if I ever think of an ending for it. And then after that, it's that psychological thriller. That might be 2021 by then. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
And if someone's new to you, what books should they start with?
All right. The oldest book that's available from me is A Long Time Dead. That's the Soccer Roger Coniston one. Also available as a box set trilogy. Again, that's only available from Amazon. That's a fairly quick read. It's only 350 pages long, and it's a good book. It has plenty of people who like it, so I'm happy to say it's a good book. If you want to move on to something stronger, go for the Third Rule, the CSI Eddie Collins book number 1. That's a longer read, but is would you call him an acerbic character, Caroline? It's a bit sarcastic.
Yeah,
So you might like him,
isn't he?
Yeah. And if you want to try his short stories, they begin with they're all the and 4 letters. So it's the lift, the note, and the lock, and then there's the drop. I don't know why I came into that particular format, but I wanted everything to be 4 letters. His short stories. They're all first person. The lock sort of broke the mold a little bit in that the other characters who are in it, they get a chance to speak first person as well. And I've carried that on with the drop, which is the post office one. The characters in there, they needed to get off what was on their chests. So there.
Fab. Well, thanks for talking to me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Let's hope people enjoy it. I'm glad it was a guinea pig.
You are. You're good. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Caroline.
Right.